Happy Friday, or at least a much happier Friday than last week. That's what I've got, is even though a lot of things happened this week, it is a much happier week than last week. Last week was very challenging, as many of you know. And there have been a lot of lessons and a lot of healing and a lot of resolution to situations this week. So I'm happy to report that. For those of you that are new, obviously, I'm Amanda, but this is just a time where we get together and we talk about our mental health and we share our wins and we share our struggles. Please keep in mind that I am not a mental health professional, so any advice I give or any stories that I tell are just based on my experiences or the experiences of other people that I have talk to, be it clients, friends, subscribers, whatever. So just please keep that in mind. And if you are in a mental health crisis, please make sure that you are reaching out to a mental health professional. The list of crisis lines is listed in the description. With that being said, how is everyone else? How is everyone else this week? I hope that everyone has been growing and learning and just having adventure, just having the adventure of life right now, because I feel like that's where I've been at. It's just looking at life as an adventure this week. And it was one of those times where I really had to remind myself that it's okay to not do stuff all the time. It's okay to watch a few episodes of a show. It's okay to just lay and stare at a painting. It's okay to lay in your hammock and stare at the clouds. That's okay. We don't always have to be doing. And that is still probably one of the more challenging things for me. So I definitely got a healthy dose of that this week. But I'll talk about some of the other lessons and insights that I had through the show I was watching or through the things that I was doing. Yeah, Mark, I am doing much better. Thank you, Casca and Mark. David's ready for a nap. Yeah, it's 10 in the morning and I could absolutely go back to bed right now. If I could go back to sleep. I wouldn't go back to sleep even if I went back to bed, but I would love to go back to bed right now. So, you know what? Let's just start with the good news because I thought that this was really cool. How duck soldiers became this 300-year-old winemaker's secret weapon. Is that not the best headline ever? South Africa's viniculture industry employs around 270,000 people producing some of the world's most sought-after wines, but not all jobs are best left to humans. In some cases, it's better to get your ducks in a row and then put them to work. Outside Cape Town on the banks of the Eerste River, the wine estate has repurposed a centuries-old practice by marshalling a battalion of ducks to keep its vineyard free of pests. Inspired by ducks used to remove pests from rice paddies in Asia, the winery calls on the services of some 1,600 ducks as part of its effort to make wine production more sustainable. I call our ducks the soldiers of our vineyards, says managing director Corius Visser. They will eat aphids, they will eat snails, they will eat small worms, they keep it completely pest-free. The species, the Indian runner duck, is flightless with a peculiarly upright stance and highly developed sense of smell. The duck troops are cajoled on a 14-day circuit through the vineyard, eating and fertilizing the ground as they go. The duck's annual leave takes place, oh my God, during the harvest. They'd eat the grapes. During this time, they forage on open farm pastures, swim in a nearby lake, and undergo selective breeding. Duck eggs are consumed. I'm not particularly fond of the whole selective breeding idea, but they have open pasture and they get to go swim in a lake, so they still seem to have a pretty darn good life. I think that is really awesome, that we can find ways to live in harmony with animals. I just thought that was a really cool story of how we can live in harmony and how we can help each other, and we can provide them with what they need. They can provide us with things that help us along the way. David says, I love South African wine. I don't think I've ever had South African wine, but that's going to be on my bucket list now. Maybe I have, and I just don't know. David says it's okay to just let unfiltered emotions out. Yes, absolutely. It very much is. Happy Friday, Ryan. Hello, Carrie. Yes, it absolutely is okay to just let unfiltered emotions out, and it's okay to function with our energy, because there's days like yesterday I had nothing. I was just so depleted energetically, and I just had to say, you know what? It's okay to play Metroid Dread for a while. It's okay to watch a couple episodes of a show you've already watched. I have a really hard time with that. That was something I had to talk to myself about, is I feel guilty to rewatch a show, and I don't do it often. The only shows I've ever rewatched are Nip Tuck, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., which was only one season, so that's fairly easy. And I started to watch Dexter in French, so I watched the first couple seasons of Dexter in French. But other than that, I don't tend to rewatch shows. But I have been rewatching Handmaid's Tale a little bit. The new season comes out next month. And the other day, I just needed some sense of familiarity. So I decided to watch an episode. And the really wonderful, unexpected side effect was when I watched it before, I was in a really unhappy situation. And it made me feel very not bad about myself, but it didn't make me feel empowered or confident. So it was a very different dynamic to watch it in that mindset than in my mindset now. So it almost changed the show for me just because I was in such a different state of mind the first time I watched it. And I thought that was a really interesting thing to reflect on was, hey, this is actually acting as kind of a milestone for my mental progress. So that was something I didn't expect. I was just looking for that familiarity, which, by the way, is something that is very common when we are struggling with our mental health. We go back and rewatch shows or movies or clips or things that provide us with that familiarity. That's a very common thing when we're struggling with symptoms of anxiety or depression or stress or things like that. So very normal, but I don't even like the word normal. Very natural. We'll say that way. Very natural. So it was very empowering at the end of the day. So after I got past that dialogue, that inner dialogue of there's other things you should be doing right now, and this is just lazy, and why are you rewatching a show you just watched a couple of years ago? And after I got past all that dialogue and I started leaning into the feelings that it was giving me to watch it, I said, if it's making me happy right now, I don't have time for you. Get out of my way, Shadow. So that was awesome. Let's see. David Orman says, I suffer with anxiety and depression plus suicide thoughts every day, wondering whether to give up on life or not. At the minute, I can't seem a way forward. Watching your channel helps me. I'm very glad that it helps you because I know what it's like to feel stuck in that hell loop and you can't seem to find your way out of it. So it's just this constant struggle. I know that can seem very frightening, very hopeless, very overwhelming, but there is another side to it, and I can't make decisions for you, but I would very much urge you to explore different options for healing, be it being involved here in the community, reaching out to a professional, taking the free 5-day challenge just to get some lifestyle changes that are more conducive to your optimal mental health, because you do deserve to heal and it is possible. It just sometimes takes a bit of trial and error to figure out what works for each person. Some people really thrive with therapy and medication. Some people really thrive with lifestyle changes. And the majority of people kind of tend to really flourish with a mixture of different things. There's not one thing that is going to just overnight change everything or heal those dark thoughts, because they've been there for a long time, right? But for the most part, when we've been dealing with this, we've been dealing with it for quite some time by the time we realize it and we become aware of it. So it is very helpful to be part of a community like this, and I welcome you and I'm glad you're here. But it can also be very helpful to learn about the things that you can do to empower yourself to really be at your optimal mental health. So I really encourage you to stick around and let us know what you're going through. If you feel comfortable, let us know your story, because we want to hear. We want to let you know that we see you and we care about you and we care if your light goes out. So please let us know anything that we can do. Dude Stop says, I came down the stairs with a smile on my face today, and then my mom asked me, who have you asked out today? Which I thought was quite annoying and rude, but I'm fine. Well, at least you came downstairs with a smile on your face. It is kind of frustrating sometimes when people prod into our emotions like that. They assume that they know what has triggered us to be happy or what has triggered us to be sad. But another way to look at it is she was trying to ask questions, maybe not in the most couth of ways, but she was trying to ask questions to understand why you were so happy in that moment, and maybe be able to provide more of that, be able to help you have more happy moments like that. Hi, Francisco. I hope everything is going well for you. I know you were having a bit of a struggle last week as well. Carrie says, I have to have that struggle every day, feeling guilty for giving myself a break ever. It is something that I've really been working on, and I literally just have to combat that voice in my head. And I have to sit there and say, I'm doing this right now and I'm going to enjoy it. And I will talk to you later. Bye. And that's the way I've been handling it lately. Because I think that deep rest, I think it comes from a lack of not allowing ourselves to rest and not allowing ourselves to take time just to do the things that we enjoy and do the things that we find peace with. So I think that there's something to be said about that. David says, in many countries in Europe, longer lunch breaks are given, as allowing people to rest and relax helps them to be more productive. Absolutely. And I notice that everything is so much clearer after I've taken a day like that. So whether it's my ability to be the positive, calm parent that I want to be, or whether it's my ability to have productive yet healthy and happy conversations with my friends or my partner, my ability to study when I'm studying French and stuff, all of it is so much clearer. My next steps tend to be a lot clearer because when I've run myself into the ground, I burn myself out, I don't have the clarity of thought. I don't have the clarity of, okay, what's my next step going to be? It's just too much. And I've overstimulated myself and I have to take a break. Carrie's right, though. Yeah, America isn't big on breaks of any kind unless you're in the government. Yeah, go figure. I just wanted to say there's a lot of messages. I forgot to kind of give that disclaimer. There tends to be a lot of messages and I can't read all of them. I try my best to read as many as possible, but if you really want to make sure that I see one of the messages, just make sure to use that super sticker function. The super sticker and the super chat pledges will all go toward my mental health outreach. Tracy Ray says, anyone got any advice when someone invades your privacy and how to get past it? That is such a challenge. I've dealt with that with individuals who have gotten into my email or my phone or my journals or things like that without permission. And I think the most important thing is, if this is a person that's in your life on an ongoing basis, setting that boundary and making sure that you really vocalize that that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable behavior, and you're not going to allow or accept that. I don't know under what context this was, whether it was a phone or a journal, but I really suggest it's not on you to make sure that these people are respecting your boundaries, but taking just common sense precautions to make sure that things are kept privately, whether password protected or kept in a safe place from prying eyes. It helps a little bit, but again, I'm not saying it should be your responsibility to do that. Your one real responsibility is to set a boundary, and if that person doesn't respect it, then taking the necessary measures, if possible, to distance yourself from that person. And if it was something that thank you, Erin, if it was something that obviously violated a law, you have the option to take legal action against that person in terms of a restraining order. But I know that it can be very frightening to have your privacy violated. I also had a stalker. I've had several stalkers at different points in my life. And if it's a situation like that where you feel like your safety is at risk and you're not feeling safe, I highly suggest doing whatever it takes to ensure the safety of your environment, whether that means changing your locks or getting security cameras, something like that, empowering yourself And that can mean a lot of different things. It can mean taking martial arts or self-defense classes. It can mean getting a firearm if you're in a country where that is available. There's a lot of different options, but empower yourself. You have to reconnect to your power during this time because you're in control of your life and they're trying to take your control away. So as much as you can, reconnect to your points of power and your points of control and establish those boundaries the best you can. Joshua Valco says, tried to comment the other day, missed it. Want to give my thoughts on a person with disorders and years battling depression, suicide. This is the moments that make me smile. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Joshua, and your thoughts, your experience. I'm assuming the things that you've gone through, but I'm glad that you have those moments to smile, be it here with us or just in reflection. Victor, hi. It's Mark Victor's daughter. He's in the hospital right now. She got sick, and they're checking her now. I think I misread that. It's Mark Victor's daughter. Is Mark in the hospital right now? Or I think Mark's daughter is in the hospital right now. Well, I hope either way that we see a speedy recovery, and I will certainly send my healing energy in your direction. I do understand how stressful it can be when loved ones go to the hospital. My dad, when I was growing up, had 5 major surgeries in a year, and it was always so heavy to sit around wondering, is this going to be the time? What's going on? Is this serious? Because I was pretty young and I didn't know the gravity of each situation, so it can always be really stressful sitting on the sidelines wondering. Tracy says, a person helped me get a home who worked in law enforcement when my mom died, and then put a newspaper article out saying I had mental illness and just boasting and didn't even talk to me afterward. That might infringe upon your rights, considering they're releasing medical information without your consent, I presume, without your consent. So I would suggest in this case, reaching out to a local attorney, Better Call Saul, reaching out to a local attorney and seeing what your rights are in this matter, because it might provoke them to have to issue some sort of statement, or in some cases even pay reparations for this, because that is encroaching your privacy. But the best I can suggest for you is, depending on obviously what they said, using this as an opportunity to show the strength of a person with mental illness and how someone struggling with those symptoms can still respond in a productive and healthy way without lashing out and reacting. It's very important that we're trying to learn to respond instead of react. And I mean, I had a lesson in that this week, that I felt wronged in some way, and I said, you know what, I care enough about this person that I'm just going to take some time to reflect and to think and to really see where these feelings are coming from and what's triggering this, and then be able to approach it with a clear head and look at my options, and in this case, discuss what my options are with this person. You can also contact the paper and discuss with them that you didn't authorize your personal information to be released in this way, your personal medical information to be released in this way. You do have rights here. I am not a lawyer, but you do have rights here if they're releasing information about your medical condition without your consent. Carrie says, my therapist said you would never, oops, the message went away. You would never talk to your child the way you talk to yourself. So why would you talk to yourself like that? I was like, damn, it's not that easy, but it was a good new perspective. It very much is. We wouldn't talk to our child. We wouldn't talk to a friend. We wouldn't even talk to a stranger the way we sometimes talk to ourselves in our heads. And that's why I was saying I have learned to make friends with my shadow and my diva and my inner child, my other personas. I don't have dissociative identity disorder, but I do have a tendency to name my other my other thought processes because it helps to dissociate them a bit from myself. It helps to set them apart from my thoughts and my processes. But yeah, once you can make friends with them and you can learn, I think that's where the whole learn to love yourself comes from, because when you love yourself and you see yourself as a friend, or you see yourself as someone worthy, you stop talking to yourself like that. And when you stop talking to yourself like that, you can have a healthier relationship. You can show up in a much healthier and more productive way, because if you're talking to yourself like that, it wears you down after a while, and you very much just it impairs your function in all of the arenas of your life eventually, if you let it go on long enough. Yin Yang 256 says, for people that have health problems like me, no one really talks about the mental health effects on how much want to die fast and not slow. The meds I take make me do unusual things. Look up prednisone. Oh, yeah, I know a lot about prednisone. And I personally couldn't continue taking prescription medication because of the unusual things that it provoked, the behavior, the thought patterns, the sensations. I just couldn't deal with that. So it was very, very difficult. But you're absolutely right. People don't talk enough about the physical aspects, or I'm sorry, the mental aspects of physical conditions and how it can very much have a big impact on it. Thank you, David. David says, C. asks, does anyone know how you can tell the difference between a healthy and an unhealthy coping mechanism? Like, if you're aware of it, that is a coping mechanism, is that maybe okay? That is an excellent question, because I hear very often, well, if I'm just having a drink at the end of the day and that helps me to relax, is that a healthy coping mechanism? Or if I'm just self-harming a little bit, is that a healthy coping mechanism? Or if I'm binge watching a show, is that a healthy coping mechanism? And the way for me to be able to tell is the thoughts I have while I'm doing it. So, for example, when I was watching the show this past week, while I was watching my show, the thoughts and the feelings that were coming up were comforting to me and were empowering to me. And it wasn't particularly, I'm trying to avoid all of the thoughts in my head, because I do take time to process those and to deal with those. So I wasn't avoiding everything in my life. I was just taking a break. I was just taking time to recalibrate, because things were just kind of all over the place in my head. And I say, okay, I have uh, I have a plan and I have an idea for my next steps and what to do and where to go, but I'm just needing a break right now. If, however, you are having that drink at the end of the day because you believe you need it, or because you're trying to avoid feelings, you're trying to avoid emotions or avoid feelings on an ongoing basis, that's when it becomes problematic. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm feeling really friggin' overwhelmed right now and I'm gonna go have a cup of tea. Or if you do partake in alcohol, I'm gonna go have a glass of wine or something. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing it to avoid emotions, or you're doing it to numb emotions in any way, then that's where it starts becoming problematic. You can do that in the short term if emotions are just very overwhelming and you just need a break. If you're doing it once every now and again, sometimes it is effective to take a step back from our thought process, right? So we can get a fresh viewpoint, a fresh vantage point. But if you're doing it on an ongoing basis to avoid your emotions, that's when I think it's a problem. And of course, I still kind of live by the Wiccan read, and it harm none, do what you will. So is the behavior that you're partaking in harmful to you or to other people? Self-harm would fall into that. Alcohol, if not regulated, could fall into that. Binge watching TV, getting drawn into TikTok and spending 5 hours a day on TikTok, that could fall into destructive behavior, because it's having a negative effect on your mental health. So pay attention when you're engaging in the behavior, how you feel, and pay attention after you engage in the behavior, how you feel. And that will give you a pretty good perspective on whether or not it is a positive coping mechanism or a negative one. Now, that's not to say that it might not be difficult sometimes. So, like I said, when I was watching my show, there is that shadow in my head that's going, you don't deserve this. You have to be able to tell the difference between your shadow and you. And after a bit of practice, that becomes a lot easier because you realize that the shadow is almost always trying to discourage you from finding your empowerment, discouraging you from your healing. We're almost halfway in. I think we need to do some snaps here. I think we have a lot of good snaps this week. I saw a lot of snaps, so I'm excited. Clint says, thank you. I died once, and if my mom didn't find me, I wouldn't be here. Well, I'm very glad she did find you. I'm very glad that you're still here with us. Julian Ozymandias Ozdecil, that is a long name. I'm sorry if I'm a bit off right now. Like I said, the nightmares are back in full force, and I haven't been able to sleep in 4 days as a result. I talk a lot about nightmares because it's something I struggled a lot with as well, and I know a lot of people in the community do as well. I believe I touched on it last week, and I don't want to be too repetitive, but there are a lot of ways to combat nightmares, even if they're from PTSD or traumatic situation specifically, maybe not full-blown PTSD, but a traumatic situation. Or sometimes our minds just get hyper focused on certain things. I had a gym with my ex-boyfriend last night. Don't know where that came from, but our minds are trying to process things that we're not processing throughout the day. So would it be beneficial if I actually just make a video on nightmares? Because I don't think I've made a video on dreams. I've made a video on insomnia. Would it be beneficial for you guys if I just make a video on nightmares and some of the different methods for coping with them? If that would be beneficial, let me know, and I'll make sure to get on that here within the next couple weeks. Oh, Aaron, thank you so much. Aaron's already pledging, so I can sing and y'all have to listen to me. So for those of you that are new, this is based on Legally Blonde 2. The Snap Cup is just a way to spread warm fuzzies in the community and share our wins, because sometimes it can be hard to remember the wins and focus on the wins when we're kind of struggling with our mental health. So this is just a way of reminding ourselves all of the wins that we have as a community and as individuals. But it comes with the song. So without further ado, Snap Cup time, gather ye round, friends and foes together, united and bound. Pass it to your neighbor instead of blowing up, and you'll find harmony and love in a Snap Cup. Working on my snaps. Edward said I need to work on my snaps, so I'm there. I'm doing it. Alrighty. Oh, Angelic came back. Hello, Angelic Storm. Lena. I had goals set, but kept I need to learn to talk today. Lena says, I had goals set, but kept failing and procrastinating. I finally got up and started to work toward those goals. I'm hoping this lasts and I follow through. The right meds help. I experienced BP2 mania, bipolar 2 mania, that manifests itself as crippling anxiety. The lows are deep depression. Summary, I'm glad I got up and completed tasks I've been putting off. I'm happy about this, even if the drive or energy doesn't last or goes away. It was exciting, if that makes sense. Oh, it absolutely makes sense and snaps to you. Sometimes we don't have the energy, and even when we have those lows, even if we take one step toward that goal, even if it's one tiny step toward that goal, that's still moving in the right direction. And some days we are going to feel so low energy that all we can really do is watch a show or read a book or do something like that. And as long as we are making sure that whatever we're engaging in isn't making the low lower or making the situation worse, it's absolutely okay to, as we were talking about, take time to rest. But even if the drive or energy isn't there, sometimes just putting one foot in front of the other and doing it tired and doing it anxious and doing it depressed, just pushing through that. And I know it can be very difficult, but acknowledging that you might not be able to do a huge task toward the goal that you wanted to, but you can do a little part of that task. And that really helps me to break things down. So when I had goals, or even if it was just something like going to the gym, I really wanted to go to the gym because I knew that would help my mental health. People that have not been in a state where they're struggling with symptoms of depression or anxiety do not understand that the idea of going to the gym is so overwhelming that it can be crippling, because you think, okay, I have to get up, I have to put my clothes on, and I have to get ready, and then I have to get in my car, and then I have to drive there, and then I have to check in, and then it just becomes so absolutely overwhelming. So breaking things down into, you know what, right now, all I'm gonna do is put my tennis shoes on. I'm gonna put my gym shoes on, and breaking it apart like that. Or, you know what, maybe today I'm just gonna do a little bit of gentle stretching, and that's gonna be the exercise. Maybe I'm not gonna go to the gym, but I'm just gonna do some stretching. Learning to not allow the lows to be excuses, but also honoring yourself when you do need to rest. But I completely, I don't know how you feel, but I understand where you're coming from them. And you're not failing. You're not failing. You were just in a place where you weren't able to really have the clarity and utilize your energy in an effective way. It's not failing. It's just a learning process. Snaps for you for pushing through that. Hello, Bilge on the Rocks. Nice to see you too. Michael Clark, oh my gosh, says, I just read the second line of this and thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect follow-up. I found this little saying, thought it may be worth posting, even if it saves just one life. Pain is acceptable, blood is acceptable, crawling is acceptable, crying is acceptable, puking is acceptable, falling is acceptable, quitting is not. What a perfect follow-up for the last snap. So snaps to you for sharing that and for realizing that, because a lot of people don't. They think that if there is pain, or if there is crying, or if they fall, or if they don't achieve their goal, then that's unacceptable. And it's not. The only thing that's unacceptable is quitting and not trying again. Sometimes we just have to try again, or try a different way, or try to change our mindset, but quitting is not an option. Absolutely. Redbeard says, I'm new to your channel and I'm not sure what mental health wins are, but I wanted to reply that I'm still here and I'm hoping for a better tomorrow. For not knowing what they are, you did an excellent job. Snaps to you for still being here, and snaps to you for having hope, because I know that it can be a hard thing to connect to sometimes, and still being here is the number one win. That's always the primary win of our day and of our journey. Is we're still here. We get to try again. We have another opportunity to press forward. So snaps to you and welcome to the channel. David says, we do not fail. We learn from a try and make a better attempt next time. Absolutely. Clifford Barnes says, it has been a strange week for me, getting sucked into other people's drama. I used to try and fix everything but me in the past. With all your help, I am learning to remove myself from stressors that do not involve me. So big snaps for that. I have a mug that says, not my circus, not my monkeys. And I think that the most empowering thing we can do sometimes is say, not my problem. And that's not to say that we just get self-absorbed and ignore the struggles of the people close to us, but we have to make sure that we are in a place where we can be offering energy and we can be offering healing to those people. But if someone is causing drama, or if someone is a net negative in our life, then it's time to distance ourselves. And I unfortunately had to make the very difficult decision myself to do that, to remove a friend from my life who was just creating a lot of drama, was being very toxic, was being very disrespectful, was not honoring my boundaries. And regardless of how I felt about the friendship or how I cared about this person as a person, I just realized I can't have this person in my life anymore, because it's having a negative effect on my physical and mental health. And it's a difficult thing to do, but I think that it can be, I know that it can be so relieving after the fact, after we've made that decision and we've moved forward. Oh, what happened? Everybody's sending prayers to Victor. What happened? Victor's daughter just passed. Oh my God. Any comforting thoughts for him? He's sad and very angry. Of course he is. And that's part of the grieving process. And trying to not be sad and not be angry obviously isn't going to be effective. Thank you so much, David, for that pledge toward Victor's daughter's memory, and allowing us all to mourn together, because we are a community. And when one one pack member is struggling, it does affect all of us. And I'm really, really sorry that I'm just sorry. I mean, there's nothing I can say. And I see that you're asking if there's anything that we can offer. And unfortunately, no. When someone is in a state of shock and grief, especially when it's fresh like this, the only thing you can really do is just make sure that he's safe, make sure that Victor is around loved ones and knows that people are here for him, that he has family and community and all of these people that are here that care, and our hearts are breaking for such a tragic loss. We're never supposed to lose our children. And I hope that your family can find solace and comfort here in the community. And please feel free, as time goes on, to share any memories of her that you want us to hold in our hearts so that we can help keep her alive. So I wish that I could say something to take your pain away, Victor's pain away, but unfortunately right now the human thing to do is to just go through the emotions and find productive ways to channel them. So if someone's feeling angry, find productive ways to channel that anger. If they're feeling sad, just be there for them and allow them to feel sad, and don't try to take the sadness away, because the more they can just process it, the faster the healing will be. But this is something that is going to take a long time. Something that was really helpful for me during my times of bereavement was just having someone to take care of the day-to-day grind. Be it meals or cleaning or childcare of other children, things like that. Just trying to take stress off anywhere that the family can. But again, as a community, we're really, really sorry for your loss and, of course, Victor's. Oh. If you're unable to go to the gym, going up and down the stairs is a good replacement. I did that a lot during COVID, Hans. Master Ganja, I'm still here. I'm too stubborn to quit. That's the attitude to have. But still working on my antisocial tendencies. Ugh, so difficult. Well, you're here and you're being social now, and you and I are having a conversation right this very moment. So good job. Snaps for working on it. Dude Stop says, I made the rookie mistake of telling my mom what I'm doing. She is now watching the stream. Hello, Dude Stop's mom, and that is A-okay. She is welcome as well. That is not a mistake at all. All of you are welcome. C. Dickey writes, I have to go already. I'm sorry. I have things I have to do this afternoon. Much love to you all. Thoughts to all. Healing vibes to all. And Victor, my deepest condolences for your loss. Well, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Carrie says, I messaged you. I had something happen with my daughter, and I don't know how to handle it. It was too long for Hero. I will try and check my messages as soon as possible. Luke Alone Production says, this week wasn't good for me. I started to make breaks with my training because of my shadow. Also, I started to feel like I'm not good enough, but I'm still here. And I think that this fact is huge mental win. Absolutely. I always say that. Snaps for still being here. And bad weeks happen. You know, I had a pretty crappy week last week, and it was very difficult. And it's okay to take breaks from your training. Just like when we're training at the gym, it's okay sometimes to say, I just need some time away from this. But to set an amount of time is what I typically suggest, especially when it's physical. But when it's mental, it's also relevant to say, okay, I'm going to take a week off, and these are the things I'm going to do to work on my healing during this week's time, and then I'm going to come back and give it another go. And you might have to take a step back in the physical realm. Say if you were going to the gym, you might have to lower your weight a little bit, and that's okay. You're still going and you're still getting the benefits, and it's okay that you need to rest. As far as feeling like you're not good enough, I actually just made a video about that not too long ago. David, can you share that blog, please, about reconnecting with your self-worth and your confidence and stuff, because it's something that is very easy to succumb to when you're struggling with your mental health. So David will post that for you if you haven't had a chance to watch. It was one of my most recent vlogs, but I think we all struggle with imposter syndrome at some point, or we all struggle with that. What if I'm not good enough for my partner, for my friends, or for my community? And for me, I had to start writing out. I'm a list person. I'm a very big list person. I had to start writing out. These are the things that I have accomplished, and these are the people that care about me. So there are people that value me as a person. There are things that I can accomplish. I am capable, and finding ways to combat that inner voice, that shadow, that chatter, even if it does mean writing it out, writing out the thoughts that the shadow is presenting you with, and then writing out evidence to the contrary. So kind of put your shadow on trial and challenge the thoughts, just like you would in a courtroom. Scott Austin says, I had the most weird experience last week. Well, I definitely like weird. Staying in the 8th floor of a hotel, I was in the balcony enjoying the view. I don't like where this is going. My mind slowly went dark, and the demons were telling me to jump. I'm not suicidal and actually have a fear of falling. I closed the door and kept it locked the rest of my stay. It is weird if you haven't experienced it before, but it's something that from time to time, even if you're not suicidal, just having that fleeting thought of, well, what would happen? What would it be like? That doesn't mean that you're having suicidal ideation. It's just morbid curiosity. And I wouldn't be too afraid and too concerned with things. I'm sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. I wouldn't be too concerned with things unless this is an ongoing thought process that you continue to have. Then it might be worth exploring that, possibly with a professional. But if it's just a fleeting thought and it came and it went, and you're not feeling the effects of that otherwise, then I would say to just monitor, of course, but don't be too concerned about it. But I am proud of you for knowing to close the door and lock it and remove yourself from that situation, keeping yourself safe and distancing yourself from those thoughts. So snaps to you for doing that. Skull Crusher says, my mental health wins. We're watching hilarious, outrageous Japanese game shows. Snaps to you for finding your humor, for finding something that brings you joy. Those things are hilarious. I've watched clips here and there, and they really are just so over the top and so exaggerated. And it's kind of like the comedy version of soap operas, just very dramatic, and everything is very overdone, but they are quite funny. So thanks for sharing that. I think that's something that people can give a shot if they need a laugh. There was time after I made my decision to end the friendship that I was talking about. I am not the type to scroll online. I don't go onto social media. I don't scroll social media, although I am a member of several meme groups or humor groups, things like that. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take 30 minutes. I set a timer. I said, I'm going to take 30 minutes to just scroll this stuff, to laugh and to get some of the benefits from just finding humor in things. And a lot of them are very dark humor, which tends to be my jive. The shadow gets her time to play and I get to laugh. So it works out. But yeah, absolutely. Sometimes just connecting to those funny things. I like this. Kirk McCama says, life is like a coin. It has two sides, a good side and a bad side. Regardless of which side you're dealing with, it still has value. That is awesome. I've never heard that, but it's so true. Vatvikar says, it was a pretty relaxing week for me because it was quiet at my work and there wasn't much to do. So I had time to think about my situation, what I wanted. Even though my thoughts didn't always go in the direction I wanted, c'est la vie, it was good to deal with reality. I still want to have a wife and kids, but reality says no, and I'm starting to come to terms with that. Well, I don't subscribe to reality. I make my own reality because I don't think that things are impossible. And sometimes that is a hard mindset to hold on to. Believe me, I feel you more than you could possibly know. But there is something to be said about coming to terms with something, but don't try to come to terms with something until you have all of the information. So while you say reality, I think that this is your self-doubt is saying, no, what are the facts saying? Is there some physical reason that you aren't unable to, or is this just the insecurities and the faltering self-worth coming in. So while I do think that there are times to come to terms with reality, I would really encourage you to fact check before you feel like you need to do that. Because a lot of people just say, well, it's impossible, and give up, not realizing that there were other options and there was still a lot of hope. So I would very much encourage you to still explore that before writing off your dreams and your possibilities. But snaps to you for taking time just to sit with your thoughts. It can be a difficult thing, and it's something that our society doesn't promote, but it's really necessary for optimal mental health and for processing our feelings. Let's see. Dude Stop. Hey. Dude Stop says, hey, Amanda, I've had an average week. Nothing terrible, nothing great, but okay. I hope everyone's doing well. You know, it's interesting because sometimes we think if we didn't have a phenomenal week that we lost. You know what? My week was pretty mediocre as well. And that is actually a mental health win because it wasn't bad. And even if it was bad, you can still find wins in it. But an average week is still a week where we're not engaging in destructive behavior. It's a week where there were moments that we recognized of happiness or of peace. So, you know, it snaps to having that average week sometimes. We do have amazing taste in content, says Carrie. Edward S. says, our friend Alkin is traveling to Europe on holiday. Hopefully a big win for him. You know, it was enough having Alkin rub it in our face. I'm just kidding. I'm very happy for Alkin to be traveling. So snaps to Alkin for that. Very, very happy for him. And I hope that it gives him a little bit of refresher and a little bit of time to really get some energy back and reconnect with himself and his family. Because I know that he's been going through a lot too, that he's shared in here on our streams, and I hope that he finds the peace and healing that he so very much deserves during this time, during his vacation. Sometimes vacations can be an amazing reset. That was it, and I didn't even realize it. Oh my goodness. That was all of the snaps for today. Yeah, Damon says, no news is good news is a phrase I like. Means nothing bad has happened as well as nothing exciting. See, I would love an average week right now. I would just love to have time where nothing crazy happens, and I don't have to have any major stressors, not have to make any major life choices. That would just be fantastic. My win for the week, by the way, is this amazing decaf vegan chai. So Starbucks used to have decaf chai, and they discontinued it because, well, we're in America and not enough people drink decaf things. And I was so disappointed because I loved it so much. And I had a friend that came in from out of town this week, and we went out for lunch, and the place we went ended up having a vegan chai. So I decided, or I'm sorry, a decaf chai. So I decided to give it a try and add a little bit of vegan milk to it so I could get a vegan decaf chai. And it is just phenomenal. It made me so happy. I ended up having 2 glasses there. And then he got some mix. They had the mix there. So he gifted me with some mix to take home. And now I've been drinking it like crazy because it's just so delicious. And it's an awesome time to just sit and enjoy and connect with my senses and drool a little bit. So that's my win for the week. It's the little things that often mean the most. Absolutely. And yesterday was, it was a bit all over the place because, like I said, it was the day that I really had to make the decision for that friendship. So I was a bit all over the place emotionally, and my actions tended to reflect that. But I made it a point to take long periods of, okay, I'm just going to sit with my show without my phone, without anything. I'm just going to sit here and watch a show right now, or I'm just going to lay out on my hammock and stare at the clouds, or I'm just going to study language a little bit. I had to say, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to spend time here with my chai, sitting at the counter, staring at the wall and doing nothing at all other than just enjoying my chai. It's been awesome to have things to connect to again. Yin Yang 256 says, I'm trying to look forward to the future, but I'm not seeing me in it with battling asthma, a mental health, and medication. sometimes looking forward to the future isn't where we're at, and we have to connect to the present because none of us really know. I'm in a place right now, I have absolutely no friggin' idea what my future is going to be. I mean, my future could be 100 different things, and it can be incredibly nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it's a bit like a Christmas present because I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And it could bring very bad news. I'm in a position where I could get really bad news on big, several big categories right now. But the best I can do is sit here with my community, sit here with my vegan decaf chai, and try to live in the moment as much as possible. And I mentioned this song last week, but there's a song called Live Like You Were Dying by Tim McGraw. And I know not a lot of you are into country, and I'm not particularly into new country, but I grew up loving Tim McGraw. And it's a beautiful song because it's just, you know what? We might. We might pass tomorrow. And this person specifically was talking about how he got a terminal diagnosis and he used this as his motivation to go live life. This is my suggestion for you. Go listen to that song and then go watch the movie Yes Man. And I think that that will give you a bit of a different perspective right now. And I know that it can be scary. I'm not downplaying that it's terrifying. And I don't envy your position at all, but we can't always look for the future because I don't see a future right now for myself, and not because I'm suicidal, because I don't know what my future is going to look like because there's so many different paths it could go. And right now, it is a bit anxiety inducing because there's certain things I want, and who knows? I don't know. I don't know. My book, for example, I don't know if my book is going to get published because it's out of my control. So there's certain things that I really, 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 really want that I have no control over, and all I can do is say, you know what, just going to sit here with my vegan chai and enjoy the moment the best I can. And my mom used to say, hope for the best and expect the worst. And that's what I do, is I try to live now and really hope that things work out the way I want them to, but kind of think in my mind, maybe they won't. Maybe everything will just, maybe this channel will get deleted and my book will never get published and my relationship will fail and my house is going to burn down and everything's just going to fall apart and we're going to go to war, just catastrophize. That could happen. But what if it doesn't? What if I get everything I ever wanted? What if you find a way to heal your asthma, or at least find a way to live with it? What if? That's sometimes the only thing we can do, is say, I don't know, but what if? So we only have about 10 minutes left. Nobody is going to make me do anything crazy today. So there's that. No crazy Manda dancing. Oh, the Manda dance. Oh, the Manda dance. The Manda dance is the most white girl thing you've ever seen in your life. Country music is best described as 3 chords and the truth. There's some country music, mostly older country music, that I really enjoy. For some reason, George Jones was in my dream last night. So George Jones, Gustavo Fring, NSYNC, and my ex-boyfriend were all in my dream last night. I don't even know how to psychoanalyze that, the furthest part of my imagination. Aaron says that sounds like a challenge. No, it does not, honey. Does the Vegan Association of America pay you for the endorsements? Is there a Vegan Association of America? That would be awesome. That would be epic. No, unfortunately. Carrie says, what if those things is not like the other? The ex-boyfriend. Yeah, the ex-boyfriend. My friend just got 2 kittens. He named one Fring and one Miss Wexler. That's gold. On the topic of Gustavo, it's been a really challenging week, obviously. I hope you guys enjoyed the vlog in his honor. It has been challenging, and I got a call from county that just wanted to drill me with all these questions, because obviously it was a bite situation, a tax situation, so they have to drill me with all these questions to make sure that they can I opted to have him cremated and have his remains returned to me. So they can do that. They had to call me and drill me with all the questions. And that was probably one of the lows of my week, because it meant reliving it in many ways. But the first couple days obviously were the worst, and I'm coming to terms with it more now and trying to find ways to honor him just as I would any other family member. And one of those things was through the video. Another way is I donated his dog stuff, like his food and stuff, to a rescue woman that needed supplies. So I'm donating a lot of dog supplies and stuff to rescue. So just finding ways to honor him and focus on the gratitude of the love that I did receive and the energy we did get to exchange. It's challenging, but that's what I have been focused on. And I'm sure that Gus being in my dream probably had something to do with that. And also because I was, never mind. I can't say anything. I can't say anything yet. Damien says, I didn't send any comments. I didn't know if I should write you while dealing with Gus. You know, I have been taking time for myself, but the great thing about comments and emails and stuff is I don't check my stuff every day. So sometimes it might take me a bit to get back to people. If you do ever email me, make sure that if you are needing a quicker response to put urgent in the subject line so I can see that it needs a quicker response. Otherwise, sometimes I might check my email because I'm checking for a specific thing and just not have time or not be in a place where I'm looking to respond to all of my emails. So make sure to just put urgent in the subject line if you are wanting to get a fast response if it is an emergency, a mental health emergency. But if it's true mental health emergency, again, please make sure that you're reaching out to a professional or a hotline, because like I said, I just don't check my stuff every day because that's not good for my mental health to be on the computer all day. Kirk McComas says, I feel better about my dreams now that I've heard what yours were about. I don't know. Actually, I do know. I know that this ex-boyfriend represents a lot of my insecurities, actually the root of my most major insecurities and pains and struggles. And I know that it's my brain trying to process those things because all he is a face to those things. And I know that it's just my brain's way of processing a lot of these challenges because they're front and center right now in so many ways. And I'm just having to write it out, but God, it's gross. It's really gross. Not gonna lie. Edward says, put Aaron Paul in the subject line. That's cheating. Master Ganja says, just got a Rottweiler pup, saved her from a hard life. She's always by my side, named her Xena. That's so sweet. So we have about 4 minutes, got to start winding down. Why on earth is Damien sending me alligators or crocodiles? I can't really tell, but Damien's sending me alligators saying more snaps. Well, there aren't more snaps in there, so I guess unless you're just nom with the alligators. I see what you did there. Okay, more snaps from the alligators. I get it. Bye, Victor, or bye, Victor's family. Please know that we're here if you need anything or if you need to just talk and share. And I hope that you can find strength during this time and as much peace as possible. Whew. This always goes by so fast. Eugene says, I had a dream that Trump walked by me and I called him what? That, I suppose, if that's your way of processing politics right now, then that's probably a good sign that you are entrenching yourself pretty deeply in the political arena, which can be quite damaging toward mental health. But that's your dream's way of trying to process it. As long as it's not violent, I would say you do you. Casca says, the way I interpret my dream is in the way of a story and intuitively. Yeah, my dreams, I can definitely most of the time figure out what my dreams are representing. I actually think that I figured out what Jesse represented in the dream that I had, where I finally stopped my series of really emotional and graphic nightmares. I think I finally realized what Jesse represented. I think that in many of my past relationships, I was the Jesse to a Walter Jesse dynamic of personalities in my previous relationships. So I think that Jesse kind of being my savior in my dreams was representing me stepping out of that and breaking away from that. So that was a huge revelation that I had this week, because I mean, geez, that dream happened months and months ago at this point, and I kept trying to figure out, what does he represent to me? And that's the conclusion I kind of came to. So I was very excited for that insight as well. Eugene says, I follow politics a lot. Politics affect everything. Yes, but we don't affect politics all that much. So if you're just watching political stuff all the time and there's nothing you can do, and you're not getting involved, then it's just going to increase frustration, and you're not going to have really any place to channel it. Now, if, say, you feel very passionately about a certain political cause, then there's nothing wrong with getting involved in that and trying to help the people that are affected by it. But if you're constantly just watching political stuff and surrounding yourself with political stuff, they have done studies, and it has been proven to have a massive negative impact on mental health over time. As a matter of fact, any mental health professional will tell you that if you're struggling with symptoms of anxiety and depression, stop watching the news, because it's only going to make it worse. David says, I left Facebook because of politics. I'd lose half my friends over politics. I didn't leave Facebook, but I blocked my feed, and I don't engage with posts very often anymore. It's very, 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 very rare for me. I managed to stay away from all of, Carrie says, I managed to stay away from all of that from the time Biden got in until Ukraine, and I was back in. I can tell the difference in my mental health. It's the helplessness. It absolutely is. But as I said, the important thing is that, say you are feeling emotion about the Ukraine situation, then it's more conducive to take action in any way you can, be it donating, or be it writing letters, or be it volunteering for different organizations that are aiming to provide relief for refugees. There are ways to get involved and be up to date on things and be in the loop without all of the negative side effects. There are ways to do it in a positive way. It's important to stay informed, yes, but it's important to not let that consume you. And it's important to be channeling that in a productive and conducive way. Otherwise, it's just going to overwhelm you. So we are at the hour. I will ask if there's any last questions or comments or stickers or pledges or dumb dances or whatever the case is. I will ask if there's any of those. Take a minute here to catch up on last couple of comments, and then I have a big, huge day of things to go do. Hopefully, this chai will continue to give me the energy to do so. It's funny because even decaf gives me the energy because it's allowing me to relax, and obviously water is hydrating. There's water in tea. I try and drink a lot of water, and that gives me so much more energy. Edward's right. Politics are way too divisive nowadays because people have lost the ability to respectfully agree to disagree. Yeah. There is an organization that I started looking into, and I actually spoke for, called Braver Angels. And their whole entire mission is to allow people from each side and from the middle, just everyday people, to express their opinions and then come together afterward and see if there are things that we can agree upon as far as how to move forward with these different situations. Yes, Edward, vegan chai. Dominic is in here for the mental health talk. Absolutely, yeah. I don't get into politics. I don't discuss politics particularly often. I did mention how Roe v. Wade affected mental health, how the overturn of Roe v. Wade affected mental health. And that's probably the most political I've got on this channel ever. Do the twist dance, Amanda. Come on, dance for you to do. Chubby checker, come on, chat. I don't know. Is anybody gonna try and get me to do the twist here? I'm gonna do a little twist. I can do the twist. I can do the twist. Is it safe to say people have forgotten to treat each other like how they would like to be treated themselves? Yeah, and isn't that something we learn in preschool, kindergarten? So kind of ridiculous. Kirk says, you always light up my day. I enjoy your live streams and look forward to the notification bell. Be good, and if you can't, call me. Yes, do good, everyone. Do good. My dance is the goth dance from South Park. David, it's funny you say that because that character reminds me of the ex that we were talking about. Yeah, people do tend to get judgmental. You're right, Master Ganja. You should do a review of the song Strength of Mind by Killswitch Engage. And I promise I will remember this time that I had already reacted to Killswitch Engage. I'm sorry. That was just that was kind of funny in retrospect. I felt embarrassed at first, but then I laughed that I'd totally forgotten that I had already reacted to Killswitch and then said, yes, Aaron, I did say, I just, Boy Meets World. I fiended you all. But yeah, I totally forgot that I'd done Killswitch Engage and then said, oh yeah, this first time that I'm hearing this band. Felt a little silly, but you know what? We all make mistakes. But yes, Aaron, I did Boy Meets World, all of you. So I suppose do good will be my last words here on the stream today. I feel that's quite poetic. So do good. Mwah.